The Omnitrix hates Humungousaur is quite the statement to make about the Goliath Dino Boy that we all know and love. But why would the Omnitrix hate Humungousaur in the first place? Firstly, because of the constant mistransformations. Now it's pretty much confirmed at this point that the watch has a mind of its own and sometimes picks what Ben transforms into. But in odd cases, we see Ben directly select the Humungousaur icon or even call out and say, hey, I'm gonna become Humungousaur, and still ends up becoming something else. It seems a bit sus and troll, but why hate the brown lizard giant? Well, I think the watch started hating Humungousaur in the second episode of the Alien Force series where we see Ben take on a hybrid. Now, Ben, Gwen, and Kevin have invaded their first hybrid base, and in finality, they are about to take on a hybrid in combat. Now this doesn't go well for the smaller parts of the team, so their ace decides that he has to take this guy on. Now in the moment, Ben is as confident as he can be. He just washed and hung out some scrub DNA aliens to dry, and now he's totally saying what could possibly stop him from beating this hybrid flunky. He proceeds to get pounded like me after entering Whitney's gym and gets sent back to the Pokemon Center, and I believe the Omnitrix took that personally and started to build a personal vendetta against the Vaxosaurian giant. Further down in the second season, Ben turns into Humungousaur again in another rematch against the hybrid, when they end up getting third-partied by Darkstar and drained completely of his energy like he was nothing. That stings, not gonna lie. He gets his revenge against Darkstar though, but it doesn't end there, and picks up when he gets to take on Vilgax in the episode Vengeance of Vilgax. Now after a failed hacking session on the Omnitrix and trying to recapture Chromostone, Ben makes his first ever failed transformation in all of Alien Force, and that I think is where the breaking point for the watch came through, because after Vilgax makes his domain expansion barrier and the two begin to tango, Ben goes for the Big Chill plus Humungousaur combo and tries to get the jump on Vilgax. They do the cool Yonko Sky Shatter thing, but Ben ends up taking a humongous L during the fight. That's looking like 3 strikes already on Humungousaur, but it doesn't end there. Here is where it gets really bad. In the final episode, Ben takes on Albedo. He is full of confidence and bravado, and both end up turning into Humungousaur. But that isn't enough. Albedo goes ultimate, and the rest isn't just history, because here, Albedo doesn't just wash Ben, he proceeds to wash dozens of Humungousaurs afterwards, and I think the watch really started to get hurt feelings after that. Ben later gets his own ultimate Humungousaur, which is all fine and dandy for a time, but it all changes when we get to Omniverse. Here we only get 16 Humungousaur appearances. This is shocking because this alien would have still been one of Ben's go-to strongest aliens. But a thing I noticed in the moment is that Ben throughout the entirety of Omniverse, Humungousaur has underwear. Nah, just kidding. He never does this. That is crazy strange, and I believe that this might be an Omnitrix restriction on his abilities. Maybe the Omnitrix sentience has even evolved to a point where it has a resentment against Humungousaur. Not giving Ben him as a transformation for the times he tries to select it, along with restricting a major ability like Humungousaur's growth ability, I mean unless Ben forgot that he could do that. Further nerfing an already weak feeling alien feels like some sort of personal Humungousaur smear campaign. Another thing I think added to the bucket is when Ben had to take on Ultimate Humungousaur for the second time in his hero crime fighting career. Asmuth unlocked the Perpetuation A species and used that to trash Humungousaur and clean Spider Monkey's clock. And maybe the sentience of the watch took note of that and was probably like, nah, I'm alright, I don't need this transformation ever. The writers, however, are just as much to blame as the watch itself though, because from a writing standpoint and with the nature of Ben's character, knowing that he likes to go for the brute force aliens first as often as he can, which is actually fine for most combat situations, but a thing I think is a drawback for him is that he would never ever use the rest of the playlist if he always got Humungousaur every single time he wanted. Leaving Ben to explore the rest of the playlist from a narrative standpoint seems like a pretty sensible decision to me. However, I don't believe that the watch actually hates Humungousaur in the slightest. You see, he is a Vaxosaurian from the planet Terradino. He is the towering giant of the original Alien Force playlist and a very good alien if you need to rumble. This transformation gives Ben a lot of confidence anytime he is about to get into an important battle, and especially if the battle has the fate of many lives at stake. He has his own share of variety with his skills, and he is also a very good alien at the intimidation factor.
6200 Prospect Boulevard, where the 12 and 408 freeways meet.
What?
It's where the dragon's going.
Squire!
That is important for the micro aspects of crime fighting. And I mean, he has almost 70 appearances in the entire prime timeline of the show alone. The Omnitrix couldn't hate him if that was possible. Even if we move into the reboot, which gives Kid Men access to the Dino Big Boy, it helps to give him a great boost in power, and when he unlocks the Omni Kicks and Omni Knot modes, the guy becomes able to easily 1v2 people with no problem. And I'm talking about one of them being Kevin 11, who literally has an Omnitrix. That is no small feat. And not to mention that Humungousaur has some of the most variations in designs and modes as well throughout every iteration of the Ben 10 show. Along with the fact that he trashed the Generator Rex in a 1v1, which is quite satisfactory in my opinion, and is probably why the show ended in the first place. Some of Humungousaur's best moments though are, for example, when he broke into the Forever Night base and went ham on these medieval morons, and when he stopped a literal time warping being from coming into existence, or when he shot down the brutal ship with his transforming laser hands. Oh wait, that's not Humungousaur. My bad. I talk about that in another video. So saying that Humungousaur is hated by the Omnitrix simply because Ben might have a mistransformation or two when he tries to become him is kind of a stretch. So I wouldn't use this as a reason to justify that the watch hates Humungousaur. But if you want to know the real reason the Omnitrix gets the wrong aliens though, click this video here.